is ridiculous. This strong.
Miss Arizona USA 2012 is Erika Kirk.
For the individuals that are in the industry.
A little bacon, baby, that's deep in there. Give them a cleavage. People want cleavage. Showcase it.
Sells, babe.
Sells. That's me.
That's against religion.
It's not.
And this is my personal opinion. It's my podcast. But given what we've learned about Fort Huachuca, an intel base that literally trains Christians, I'm asking myself, was she just training? Was she training to become a Christian? Was she training to be able to impress people like Charlie by just always having a Bible verse? Now she can't even get out a sentence without making it somehow a Bible verse or a holy in some degree. And there's something that registers to people as off about that.
I locked myself in my room, basically turned into a hermit for about a good 8 months. The only person I would see outside of my family was my pastor's wife, and we would go to the church and she would just pour into me every single day.
We ordered our food, and then that's when the grilling started happening. Like, that's when the interview process started happening. So I'm like, okay, this is a legit interview. Like, let's go. I'm glad I had my coffee. Like, I'm ready to debate you about Aristotle and Socrates, and you want to talk about theology? Let's do it.
Candace Owens just dropped what may be the most explosive wave of allegations yet surrounding Erika Kirk, and according to people online, this time the internet thinks the entire image is starting to crack apart publicly. Because what began as criticism over Erika's past, her rise inside conservative circles, and the story of how she met Charlie Kirk has now turned into something much bigger online. An organized attempt by internet investigators, former acquaintances, commentators, and political audiences to completely re-examine who Erika really was before the public ever knew her name. And according to the claims now spreading everywhere, the newest controversy revolves around alleged leaked audition-style footage and resurfaced clips that critics believe contradict the image Erika later carefully built publicly as a deeply faith-driven conservative role model. Now, to be very clear, many of these allegations remain disputed, unverified, or heavily debated online. But that hasn't slowed the internet down at all. Because according to viewers online, people believe Candace Owens is no longer asking small questions anymore. She's trying to dismantle the entire public origin story surrounding Erika Kirk piece by piece. And honestly, that's why this story exploded so fast. One moment social media was discussing Erika as Charlie Kirk's wife and conservative influencer. The next, audiences were analyzing old beauty pageant clips, movie trailers, church connections, political relationships, and allegations involving carefully crafted identity building behind the scenes. Then Candace made things even more intense. She publicly questioned whether Erika's religious transformation was completely authentic at all, suggesting instead that Erika may have allegedly studied and trained herself to successfully present as the perfect Christian conservative woman, long before meeting Charlie Kirk. That single accusation changed everything emotionally online. Because suddenly, people weren't just debating Erika's past anymore. They were debating whether her entire public identity had been strategically constructed from the beginning. Then the rabbit hole became even deeper. Social media users revisited Erika's time in China, her former relationship with basketball player Josh Harrelson, the 8-month isolation period she described publicly as spiritual growth, her religious mentors, her reported connections to major evangelical figures, and even the famous airport story involving how she supposedly met Charlie Kirk for the very first time. Now, according to many viewers online, people believe this controversy is no longer simply about Erika herself. It's about whether modern political influence, religious branding, and conservative celebrity culture can be carefully engineered behind the scenes while audiences mistake it for authenticity. And according to social media discussions, Candace Owens believes she's finally exposing the blueprint publicly. According to many viewers online, the biggest reason this controversy exploded so aggressively is because Candace Owens is not treating Erika Kirk like someone who simply made a few questionable choices in the past. She's treating her like somebody who allegedly constructed an entire public identity strategically over time. And honestly, that accusation changes the emotional tone of the entire story immediately. Because critics online are no longer just debating old clips or resurfaced footage anymore. They're debating authenticity itself. Candace publicly questioned whether Erika's transformation into a deeply religious conservative influencer happened naturally at all. Instead, she suggested Erika may have deliberately studied faith-based language, Christian culture, and conservative values in order to successfully present herself as the ideal woman for influential conservative circles, especially Charlie Kirk himself. That's why the 8-month isolation story became such a massive topic online afterward. According to Erika's own public account, she spent months essentially withdrawing from normal social life while being mentored spiritually by her pastor's wife and focusing heavily on religion and personal transformation.
She was actually in China, helping victims of sex trafficking. No, the truth is that Erika was just following her boyfriend. I kind of view this as her groupie year. Her boyfriend at the time is Josh Harrelson. Josh Harrelson is playing for the Miami Heat. Okay, so you got a basketball player who was in his prime, and he is dating the Arizona beauty queen. And I would also like to note that this is 2013. So we are 5 years before she met Charlie.
Supporters see that as a completely normal spiritual awakening. But critics online now interpret those same months very differently. They believe that period may have allegedly been the moment Erika rebuilt her entire future public persona from the ground up. And according to discussions spreading online, former classmates and acquaintances reportedly expressed surprise at how dramatically different Erika's modern public image appears compared to the person they remember years earlier. That's where Candace intensified things even more. She openly questioned whether Erika's constant use of Bible verses, faith-centered language, and highly polished religious presentation feels authentic or rehearsed. At one point, Candace even compared the transformation to training, asking publicly whether Erika had essentially learned how to perform the role of a Christian conservative influencer successfully. That allegation exploded across social media instantly, because according to many viewers online, it tapped directly into a growing fear people already have about influencer culture overall. That some public personalities may not represent who they truly are privately at all, only the version of themselves most useful for building power, influence, and audience loyalty publicly. Then people started revisiting Erika's earlier life more aggressively than ever before. And that's when the timeline involving China, beauty pageants, acting projects, and old relationships suddenly became central to the internet investigation. One of the biggest areas Candace Owens focused on involved Erika's time in China, and according to many viewers online, this is where the internet started treating the story less like drama and more like an investigation. Because for years, Erika publicly described that period of her life in ways that many supporters interpreted as compassionate and faith-driven. Discussions surrounding humanitarian work and helping victims connected to exploitation-related situations became part of the broader narrative attached to her personal story. But Candace directly challenged that version publicly. According to Candace, the reality may have been much simpler. Erika was allegedly following her boyfriend at the time, professional basketball player Josh Harrelson, whose career reportedly involved extensive time overseas, including China. That accusation changed the entire emotional framing online, because critics immediately started asking if Erika's life during those years looked more focused on beauty pageants, relationships, travel, and entertainment opportunities. Then why did her later public image sound so different? Supporters strongly pushed back, arguing those timelines are not mutually exclusive and that people can absolutely experience meaningful spiritual transformation later in life. But according to discussions online, critics believe the China timeline exposes what they see as a larger pattern. That Erika allegedly reshaped old experiences into cleaner, more conservative-friendly narratives afterward. Then social media users started revisiting older clips and appearances connected to Erika's pageant years. Her Miss Arizona USA victory suddenly became controversial online too. Critics argued people now needed to reevaluate how Erika rose so quickly inside entertainment and influence-driven spaces before entering conservative political culture publicly. Some online commentators even speculated whether the resurfaced audition-style footage currently circulating could allegedly explain how she gained visibility inside certain entertainment environments early on. Again, those claims remain heavily disputed and unverified. But according to many viewers online, the emotional impact came from the timing. Because once Candace framed Erika's entire public image as potentially strategic rather than authentic, audiences started revisiting every old clip, every relationship, every interview, and every career move differently. Then another issue intensified the scrutiny even more. The story of how Erika supposedly met Charlie Kirk for the first time. For years, the story of how Erika met Charlie Kirk sounded almost perfectly designed for a conservative Christian audience. The airport, the chance encounter, the feeling that it was fate, the spiritual framing surrounding the relationship afterward. It became one of the most repeated parts of Erika's public identity.
Say, like, your mother taught you Christianity. My mother taught me Christianity. No, your mother allowed your boyfriends to live in the house too and have sleepovers. That's like the opposite of coming from a deeply faithful Christian household. Letting the boyfriend sleep in the house with your daughter is like, so I would never in a million years allow my daughter to have her boyfriend sleep over.
But according to many viewers online, Candace Owens may have completely changed how people see that story now. Because Candace publicly suggested the meeting may not have been random at all. Instead, she implied Erika and people around her may have already been strategically positioning her inside conservative political circles long before Charlie Kirk officially entered the picture publicly. That allegation exploded online instantly. Because suddenly, audiences started rewatching Erika's interviews differently, especially the clips where she explained how women should become the kind of person capable of attracting a man like Charlie Kirk. Supporters interpreted those comments as ordinary relationship advice grounded in faith and values. Critics heard something completely different. They heard planning, preparation, image building, calculated positioning. Then Candace intensified the controversy even further by bringing up Tyler Boyer. According to online discussions, Tyler allegedly played a major role connecting Erika and Charlie behind the scenes. But Candace claimed Erika later acted strangely uncertain publicly about exactly how she first met Tyler at all. That specific detail created enormous skepticism online. Because critics argued it seemed almost impossible to forget how you met someone who allegedly helped shape one of the most important relationships of your life. Then another accusation made things even bigger emotionally. Candace claimed she herself was reportedly present during the famous airport encounter story Erika later described publicly, yet Candace says Erika repeatedly tells the story without mentioning her presence at all. According to many viewers online, that omission suddenly made the entire chance meeting narrative feel much less accidental. Critics now believe the relationship may have been developing through overlapping conservative networks long before the public version of events suggests. Supporters strongly reject that interpretation and argue critics are turning ordinary networking and social overlap into conspiracy theories. But according to discussions online, the emotional atmosphere around Erika has already shifted dramatically. Because once people start believing someone carefully engineered one part of their public image, they start questioning every other part too. And that's exactly why internet investigators kept digging deeper into Erika's past afterward. At first, most people online thought the Erika controversy would stay limited to social media arguments, old clips, and political gossip. Then internet investigators started looking deeper into the religious circles surrounding her rise. And according to many viewers online, that's when the story suddenly became much bigger than Erika herself. Because critics online began mapping the pastors, ministries, churches, and evangelical figures reportedly connected to Erika's transformation period and later public career. One name especially started getting attention: Pastor Terry Christ. According to discussions online, Terry Christ and his wife Judith were reportedly among the key figures involved in mentoring Erika during the 8-month isolation period she publicly described as spiritually transformative. Then critics connected another controversial layer. Social media users began discussing Terry Christ's reported friendship with Brian Houston, the Hillsong founder who faced major backlash after allegations emerged involving concealment of misconduct connected to his father. Now to be clear, Erika herself has not been accused of involvement in those controversies. But according to many viewers online, critics believe these overlapping religious connections contribute to a much larger pattern surrounding influence networks and image building inside modern evangelical culture. Then another controversy intensified everything even more.
Pastor Terry Christ has a very interesting background. So he is very good friends with Brian Houston, who was the founder of Hillsong. And like you said, he was very much he covered up his father's pedophilia for years, and he actually never got charged for it. And so Brian Houston resigned eventually, and then right afterwards, Pastor Terry Christ also resigned from his church that he was leading, but he said it wasn't related.
People revisited Erika's later appearances and partnerships involving major evangelical figures like Pastor Greg Laurie and Harvest Christian Fellowship. Online commentators pointed out that Harvest Christian Fellowship and Greg Laurie were reportedly named in consolidated federal lawsuits tied to serious misconduct allegations involving overseas church-related operations. Again, those proceedings remain ongoing, disputed, and legally unresolved. But according to many viewers online, the growing number of overlapping controversies surrounding religious institutions connected even loosely to Erika created a perception problem that became impossible to ignore online. Because suddenly, critics weren't simply questioning Erika anymore. They were questioning the entire ecosystem around her rise. Who mentored her? Who introduced her to influential circles? Who helped elevate her publicly? And whether conservative religious branding itself can sometimes operate as a form of carefully managed public influence. That's why Candace Owens' comments became so explosive emotionally. Because according to discussions online, Candace isn't just arguing Erika changed over time. She's arguing Erika may have learned how to professionally inhabit a highly profitable and politically powerful identity successfully. And according to many viewers online, that accusation completely changed the way audiences now interpret Erika's public behavior, speeches, and interviews afterward. At this point, according to many viewers online, the controversy surrounding Erika Kirk stopped looking like ordinary political drama entirely. Because once internet investigators started connecting acting projects, military-linked locations, intelligence theories, religious influence, and conservative political networks together, the story exploded into something much darker emotionally online. One detail especially triggered massive speculation. A movie trailer Erika reportedly appeared in years ago connected to a project called November Renaissance. By itself, that probably wouldn't have become a major issue. But according to discussions online, critics noticed the project was reportedly filmed around Fort Huachuca in Sierra Vista, Arizona, a location widely associated publicly with military intelligence and defense-related operations. That single detail sent social media into full investigation mode. Now to be clear, there is absolutely no verified evidence proving Erika had intelligence connections or involvement in covert operations. But according to many viewers online, once Candace Owens framed Erika's public identity as potentially strategic and carefully engineered, internet investigators started treating every unusual connection like part of a much larger puzzle. Then another theory exploded online. The idea that Erika may have been trained socially, politically, and religiously long before becoming Charlie Kirk's wife publicly. Candace openly mocked what she viewed as Erika's highly polished religious presentation, questioning whether the constant Bible references and faith-centered language felt natural or rehearsed. That accusation became even more intense once clips resurfaced where Erika spoke very confidently about attracting a man like Charlie Kirk by becoming the type of woman conservative men desire most. Critics online interpreted that as almost an admission of strategy. Supporters argued she was simply giving relationship advice grounded in Christian values. But according to many viewers online, the timing of everything together made the story feel much bigger than one influencer controversy. The pageant history, the acting clips, the China timeline, the conservative networking, the church mentorship, the airport story, the intelligence location speculation. Suddenly, audiences online weren't asking whether Erika was fake. They were asking whether modern political celebrity itself can be carefully manufactured behind the scenes using religion, media training, branding, and strategic relationships. And honestly, that's why this story refuses to disappear online. Because according to many viewers online, people no longer trust public personas automatically anymore, especially when power, politics, religion, and influence all overlap together at the same time.
I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than going, I don't drink. I find it unproductive, not because I'm holier than whatever. I just don't operate that way. But I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another.
At this point, the internet is completely divided over Erika Kirk and Candace Owens. Some people believe Candace is exposing major inconsistencies in Erika's public story that deserves serious scrutiny, especially involving the timeline around China, the Charlie Kirk relationship story, the religious transformation period, and the resurfaced clips now circulating online. Others believe the internet has gone way too far and turned speculation, old footage, personal history, and ordinary networking into a giant conspiracy narrative without enough verified evidence. And honestly, that divide is exactly why this story keeps exploding bigger every single week. Because according to many viewers online, the real debate now is no longer just about Erika herself. It's about authenticity. Can political influencers carefully construct public identities behind the scenes? Can religion, branding, and social media create personalities audiences mistake for complete authenticity? And how much of modern conservative celebrity culture is genuine versus strategically managed image building? Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Candace Owens is uncovering legitimate inconsistencies people should question more seriously? Or do you think social media investigators are reading far too deeply into Erika's past and turning ordinary life events into conspiracy theories? And what do you make of the airport story specifically? Do you believe it was truly a random, fate-driven meeting? Or something much more carefully orchestrated behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments because audiences online are completely split on this right now. And if you want more deep breakdowns on political scandals, influencer controversies, hidden networks, conservative media drama, and the stories social media cannot stop investigating, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because according to many viewers online, Candace Owens is far from done digging into Erika Kirk's past. And the internet believes even bigger revelations may still be coming.
But just know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband, well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line, and I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar, and as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence.